Welcome to Second Listen Saturday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share some fun moments from a past episode for your weekend listening pleasure. Look for new episodes every Monday through Friday. We're wondering about yearbooks. Catherine, what are we talking about yearbooks today?
Yeah, this came up recently because Nicole's daughter is a senior and she also works on the yearbook staff. So we started thinking about just yearbooks and senior pictures and all the stuff that goes on, especially when you're a senior. But, you know, yearbooks have traveled all the way down to the primary grades at this point. So just kind of like, what has your kids' experience been? What has your experience been? What's going on with yearbooks? What are the trends, Nicole, that Kristen is aware of?
It's just so, like, I don't know, it's such a big deal. Obviously, in the States, it's a lot bigger of a deal than it is in Canada because it seems to be, I don't know where yearbooks originated from. I'll have to look it up, but it seems to be an American thing. Because I know that it's certainly not a big deal in Australia, where my cousins live, because every time they come over, they want to see Kristen's yearbook, because they're, like, you know, it's quite a awe-inspiring piece of material. It's just huge. I mean, there must be like 500, 600 pages in that thing. And the work that goes into it, it's a full-time class if you're on the yearbook. So that's your class for the year.
Oh.
And the photos, I mean, our school is a big school anyway, or her school is a big school anyway. So there are a lot of pictures. We have 49 sports teams, I believe.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
School. Yeah. So just the sports pages alone are huge, you know, the number of them. And then, of course, all the class pictures and then the different aspects of student life. So, yeah, it just seems to be a really, really intensive, thorough yearbook, although there is some room for improvement in the special education department.
I bet.
Well, that's a topic for another time. And yeah, and they, I mean, these yearbooks, you know, they're up for awards. They win awards based on their layout and their design. And, you know, there has to be a theme every year of what the theme of the yearbook. Like last year, I believe it was colors or different colors, or we're different colors or something like that. And they have advisors who come in, you know, and they've got different staffs that you know, the photography staff and the editing staff and the copy staff. And so it's quite an ordeal. And of course, for this book, you're looking at about $100, I want to say, to buy it. So yeah, it's a big deal. And I think I sent you some pictures of the senior pages, because the other aspect of that yearbook is the senior photos. When you get your professional senior photos done, your parents can buy a spot in the yearbook, either a page or a half page, and for the mere price of, you know, $300, $400.
Wow.
So it's really over the top. And I don't know if that's just because it's California and everything here is a little extra, or if it's something that is nationwide, because
yeah, see, I don't know here. I don't think they do the buying a page thing. But obviously, you know, it is a big thing. My daughter hasn't asked. She's a junior now, and she hasn't wanted one. I think she'll only want the one from her senior year.
Really?
Yeah, she hasn't been interested in having one up until now. And also, they don't hand them out until the beginning of the next school year.
Oh, that's weird.
So, which she thinks is silly. She's like, how do you get, you know, nobody can sign it. Like, if you're a senior, everybody's gone. So,
that's not right.
I know. That's kind of silly.
That's really strange.
Yeah. But the middle school, they're, you know, just little paperback kind of basic,
right?
You know, things. But I enjoy looking at them because, you know, there's candid pictures of kids you've known for a long time. You know, besides your own kid, there's always, you know, picking out other kids you know. And
I love it now because we didn't do this when we had my high school, I only ever received one yearbook. We only ever had 1 year where we had a yearbook because it was such a small high school. But in the one that Kristen's high school does, they have an index at the back of all the pages that the kid's photo is on. So you don't have to leaf through all, 3 million pages to find your pictures. It's all indexed at the back as to what pages you're on.
Yeah.
So.
I remember those indexes from high school because I was the kind of kid who would look and see if I had the longest entry in the index and who had a longer entry than me.
And sign up for a few more things for the next year.
Exactly. Right. Darn, so-and-so has a couple more clubs.
I need to get busy.
Well, were they a thing when you were living here? Because you grew up in California. Was it?
Yeah. Well, we certainly
extra at the time.
We certainly had the high school yearbook. And you had your senior picture. Had all the different classes had their pictures in it, in different sizes. The seniors had their larger picture, and you got your senior picture taken. Much less fancy than now. I think we've talked about this, that we just had, my year we had a choice of 2 different drapes you could put around you. And previously there had only been 1. So that was a very big deal. And, but you posed in that and that was it. You didn't have, 10 different poses and accessories
like
and
100. Not even kidding.
And not private photographers. You went to this particular photographer and you got your picture done, and that photographer had the things that you could wear. But it was nice, and it had all the clubs and all the stuff. I still have mine from all 4 years, and I still look back. And I think we had one from middle school, but it was very informal. But I think that there was maybe a section where your parents could, give you some congratulations. You could buy different size boxes to say nice things to your graduate. I'd have to go back and look, but I think we may have had that. But nothing as fancy as the ones that you have at your high school, Nicole. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And nothing is expensive, although that would have been in $1977, so who knows. But, they were a thing. And, I feel like when my kids were in school, it was about the same. It didn't seem significantly crazier then. Of course, they were much less involved in stuff in school, and so they were much less represented in the yearbooks, whereas I was, wanting to see my face on as many pages as possible. This was important. It was not important to them. The yearbook was always more important to me than it was to them. My son did work on the yearbook in high school because we knew somebody who, set him up with the yearbook advisor, but he really didn't get what it was or care particularly. It was just something I told him to go do. And then they did have a yearbook for elementary school, which I'm pretty sure I didn't have when I was a kid. And then they had a yearbook in middle school, and I started volunteering to help on the yearbook. Parents, this is a tip. If you feel your kid is underrepresented in the yearbook, if there are things about the yearbook you do not like, if, for example, you think that the special ed kids are not represented well, volunteer to work on the yearbook. In high school, the kids are doing the yearbook, but in elementary school and middle school, at least here, it's moms putting that thing together. It's a mom project. So whoever's mom is working on the yearbook is going to get their picture and their friends' pictures in disproportionately. So, in middle school, I think I did the layout of the book in Quark Express because I knew how to use that as publishing software. I knew how to use that from work. So I was in charge of everything.
Yeah.
I would have people tell me, which pictures do you want in? And they would, help with various things. But it's a good thing to get involved in. Because really, to some degree, nobody wants to do it. It's a lot of work. And so, you get some power and oftentimes unchecked power.
Yes.
Although I think I did get in trouble with the principal one year. I did something he didn't like, but, that was my thing. As always, I just sort of move in on my kids' things and live vicariously through them, or perhaps just live,
Right.
Or do it for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Never mind. You don't have to work
care
on
about
that.
the yearbook, but I'll do it. I'll care for you.
I'll do it for you. And then I have my copies lined up on the shelf. I made that. I did that. I copy edited that. I laid that out. I wrote those things. I misspelled that person's name.
No, it's definitely quite a big responsibility. I mean, it's, I know that Krista talks a lot about how when they're handed out, people's response to it, and that it's often underappreciated.
Yeah.
And I see how much hard work goes into this, and the hours that the kids spend, and putting this thing together.
Underappreciated unless something goes wrong, and then people are furious.
Right. Then
It's like, if it's good, it's like, oh, this is nice, throw it in the backseat of the car. But if it's, one year, the binding came apart on the paperback yearbooks for the middle school. And so they were falling apart. The kids were getting them signed, they were falling apart. So, we contacted the manufacturer, and they agreed that they would redo it, but they wouldn't get them until the beginning of the next school year. So, oh my gosh, it was the worst thing that ever happened in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, stuff happens. We're very sorry. But
I know Kristen's school hasn't been without their scandal. I believe one year somebody hacked into the yearbook software or program at the end of the year and deleted a bunch of names and changed a whole bunch of names around in groups. And it was pretty bad. And I didn't ever find out the full story, so maybe it's just hearsay, but that I'm spreading in a public forum. It was quite the little scandal that these names were moved around or left out, and So, and the other thing they don't do anymore, I don't know if they do it in your area, is the yearbook quotes. The senior quotes. Yeah, they don't do that anymore here. It's a little contentious.
I don't think we did that when I was in high school, and I don't think they did it at my kids' high school. It's one of those things I see in movies that people do, or, I see on Twitter that somebody did something
clever,
scandalous, but I don't think that's ever been part of our thing.
Yeah, we didn't do it. I don't know about my daughter's school, but when I was growing up, didn't have it.
Future speed round topic, take a note. What would you put in your high school yearbook now, looking back? What would be your quote based on your perception of yourself at that time?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely been an interesting experience for us, that's for sure. Just seeing how, it's such a big part of high school culture this is. And then, of course, having our daughter work on it and all the hours that she put into it.
Yeah.
So, so we have
do
a
your
nice
kids
little
get a lot of
signatures to show for it.
Do they get a lot of signatures in their yearbook, or is that a thing? Is that a problem?
I think with Kristen, she only really worried about it the first year. And then now she doesn't care. She's, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't a big deal for her.
I know with my son, like the middle school ones, it's just have a good summer. Like that's all everyone says, or they just write their name. Like they don't want to think about.
Not very deep.
They don't want to come up with anything better than that. Yeah. I can remember looking at my parents' high school yearbooks and being so fascinated by that and reading all the stuff they wrote and or their friends wrote, and then thinking like, well, I wouldn't want my kids to read what mine said. But then, of course, at this point, I'm like, whatever.
What did you say, Catherine?
And well, this was before I even had one to,
okay.
And looking back on it now, I'm like, I'm sure it's totally fine, and who cares? I haven't seen mine in a long time. I'm not quite sure where it is, but I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I never saw my parents' one, but I still have mine, and every now and then I bring them out, and my kids could not be less interested. I'm like, Look, this is what people looked like in the 70s. Look at this hair. Look at this ridiculous clothes.
Right, look at these.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at various. I still have some friends from that time that they know slightly. And so I can show this is what this person looked like.
Right.
And look through my husband's too. And he's not that much older than me, but I still get that little sense of these people look older as seniors in high school than I feel like I looked as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So, he was early 70s, I was late 70s. So,
Right.
But boy, I know, like in pictures in the halls of my school of people who were in high school in the 50s and 60s, they look like 20 years older than I felt like I was when I was a senior in high school.
Right.
So I'm sure if I looked through my parents' yearbook, it would have been, why were there middle-aged people going to your high school? I don't understand. Why was everybody in their 20s? Old days.
Yeah, that is true.
Look back at myself in those yearbooks and think, I am a completely different person now. I don't really know who this is, but she doesn't.
Well, the funny thing is that before,
I'm not sure I would like her now.
Before I got my senior picture taken, I got my hair permed.
And that was a bad
It was like
idea.
an orphan Annie situation. Like, I don't know what we were thinking, because it was kind of short and it was just curly, and
dear.
I do not know what the deal was there. But so that's immortalized forevermore.
Yeah, I think everybody has that perm somewhere in their past, but not right before the senior picture. Oh, honey.
Yeah, I know. What was the deal?
Do it sometime when you can just remove all photographic evidence of it and forget it ever happened.
I grew up with a permanent perm, okay? My hair was curly 24/7. Did not go away ever. Every picture was like that for me. Yeah.
I have the wavy, messy hair. Not quite curly, because that would have looked nice, and not nice and straight like I wanted. Just sort of
In between.
waves in such a way that it never combs down. It just always looks like... That's why I put it up all the time now. But it looked nice on my senior picture. Had a nice little... It was cut right in the middle of a wave, so it looked like a curl.
Oh.
This is the secret.
So you're looking fine.
Yes.
Yes. I like my senior high school
I know,
picture.
because my kids look at pick up my 1 year book from 1986 and go,
Yeah.
oh my God, Mom, is that really you?
I'm sure that's what mine would do if they...
And I was kind of a cross between preppy and punk. So it was, I had the collar that was up and then the dark eyeliner, and it was just a mess. It's just a gigantic mess. So, but I don't know. They're fun to look back on. I'm happy we have a little, collection of my kids at least that we can go through and have fun looking at.
Daughter looks back on hers sometimes, I think, from elementary school, wistfully.
Yeah.
But
the other day, one of my daughter's classmates from kindergarten posted a kindergarten picture on Instagram.
Oh my!
And it was super cute because, and he tagged like everybody, like he knew everybody. It was, it was funny. So.